Mahaba yan kanina, di ba?
There's something about the LRT that already feels haunted. Maybe it's the flickering lights, perhaps it's the silence between stations, or maybe it's the people. Strangers sitting inches apart pretending not to see each other. But in the 2008 Shake, Rattle, and Roll episode titled LRT, everyday unease becomes much darker. What starts as a routine commute turns into a claustrophobic nightmare, where the monsters aren't just the ones hiding in the shadows. They're what the city has turned us into. In this video, we'll show how LRT crafts fear from the familiar, through its characters, sound design, monsters, and the suffocating environment that turns a simple train ride into one of the most terrifying short horror story segment in Filipino cinema. Let's talk about LRT. Let me tell you the story. The story begins with a seemingly ordinary night in Manila. 13 passengers board the last LRT trip from Santolan to Katipunan, an image familiar to many who've taken late-night commutes in the city. Among them are Jean and her son Jimmy, who unexpectedly encounter Jean's ex-boyfriend Cesar.
Eto, okay lang.
Also aboard is Lita, a deacon who irritates everyone by loudly preaching Bible verses throughout the ride. What seems like a routine trip suddenly turns strange when the train stops at an unfamiliar abandoned station. The group assumes it's the final stop, but they realize the place is sealed and deserted when they leave.
Nilakad na rin tayo, palibasa mga syungars mga tao dito!
They later discovered that the train had reversed direction and returned to the Santolan Depot, a maintenance area filled with old, broken-down train cars. As they try to call for help, one of the passengers, Martin, mysteriously disappears and is later found dead. His heart ripped out. Panic spreads when the group realizes something else is in the station. A blind creature that hunts by sound and feeds on human hearts. One by one, the passengers are killed, including Lita and Oji. Only a few remain: Jean, Jimmy, Cesar, and others, as they navigate through dark tunnels and broken train cars trying to survive. Two passengers, Nina and Rocky, briefly escape the depot, only to find corpses piled inside an old train. Rocky's killed soon after. The survivors' numbers continue to dwindle as the creatures hunts them down relentlessly. In the final act, Jean and Jimmy manage to escape through an emergency exit with the help of Cesar, who sacrifices himself in a final confrontation with the monster. They reach the police, telling them what happened. However, the story takes one last twist when Jean and Jimmy find themselves locked inside a precinct cell with Nina, only to learn that the police are part of the cover-up.
Di tayo binabayaran ng malaking halaga para umabot sa ganitong sitwasyon.
It is revealed that the creature is the disfigured son of the railway owner, and that the last trip passengers each night are intentionally offered as sacrifices. The movie ends with the police handing them over as the creature approaches, and the janitors quietly cleaning the evidence by morning, resetting everything for the next night's victims. One of the reasons LRT stand out in the Shake, Rattle, and Roll anthology is that it doesn't rely on a haunted house or an isolated province for its horror. Instead, it takes something completely ordinary, the train we ride to work, and turns it into a nightmare. There's something genius about using the LRT as setting for horror. It is public, familiar, and safe, well, at least in theory. When the film strips away the crowd, the light, and the routine, it exposes how unnerving the space could be. The tunnels become endless corridors, the sound of metal scraping against metal starts to feel like a warning, and the flicker of emergency lights feels like the pulse of fear itself. The horror doesn't come from jump scares alone. It's in the helplessness, being trapped underground, disconnected from the outside world with no one to help. The setting mirrors one of the most relatable Filipino fears: being stuck in a system you can't escape, whether it's traffic, bureaucracy, or even poverty. The LRT becomes a metaphor for cycles that keep running out, never moving forward. I'm being a little bit philosophical here. Let's go back to the LRT. What makes this theme even more effective is how LRT uses its space. The claustrophobic camera angles, the dim greenish lighting, and the echoing sound design all builds a sense of unease that doesn't feel supernatural at first. It feels real. That makes it terrifying. The idea that horror doesn't need to come from another world. It can exist in ours. Now, let's talk about the monster. At first glance, the monster in LRT seems like a typical horror antagonist. Blind, grotesque, and heart-hungry. But once its origin is revealed, a deformed child of the railway owner, hidden away and fed with human sacrifices, the film transforms from a survival story into a social commentary. This isn't just a monster, it's the system itself, corrupt, covered up, and hungry for lives. The design of the creature is particularly striking. It is blind, relying on sound to hunt. A chilling metaphor for how the system continues to consume, even when it no longer sees the people it destroys.
Pero sir, yung isa ron bata.
Ligpitin mo sila.
The fact that it feeds on hearts, the literal symbol of humanity, feels deliberate. It's as if the film is saying that every day, ordinary people give their hearts, their effort, empathy, and existence to a machine that doesn't care who they are as long as it keeps running. Technically, the creature is built with classic Filipino horror texture. Sticky, grimy, almost tactile. You can feel the tunnel sweat, rust, and filth. The sound design amplifies this. Every growl and echo feels like a warning from something that's always been there, waiting under the surface. And then there's the twist. Let's talk about the twist. The twist that the authorities and workers know about the monster and still keep feeding it passengers. It is corruption at its purest form. A quiet deal made between those in power and the horrors they've created. They clean up after it, wipe the blood away, and make sure the trains run again tomorrow, because that's what the system demands. The absolute horror isn't the creature by the time the film ends. It's the people who made peace with it. As the episode continues, the real danger isn't just the monster. It's what fear does to people. Once the group realizes they're trapped, panic starts to set in, and you see how quickly everyone turns on each other. There's no hero here, no real sense of unity. Not even Cesar. It's every person for themselves. What makes this work is how real the reactions feel. You've got the loud preacher who thinks faith can save them, the ex-lovers who can't stop arguing, the scared passengers who just want out. It is chaotic, and that chaos makes it believable. In a crisis, logic disappears, and survival instincts kick in. The monster becomes more of a test than the main threat. It is there to strip away the character's thin layer of civility. When people are desperate, they make bad choices. They lie, abandon others, or even put someone else in danger just to save themselves. And in LRT, that's precisely what happens. It is a theme that mirrors real life too. The story doesn't need to shout its message. Sometimes, the scariest thing isn't about what's hunting you in the dark. It's the realization that when things fall apart, humans can be just as ruthless. LRT isn't just scary because of its monster, no. It is creepy because of how ordinary it all feels. A late-night train ride, tired passengers, flickering lights, and then everything spirals into chaos. Michael Tuviera took something familiar to every Filipino, turning it into a nightmare we can't look away from. The creature, blood, and trapped space worked because they hit on something more profound: fear of the unknown. There's no clean resolution, and the one walking away is a hero, just survival, trauma, and a system that literally feeds on the helpless. In the end, LRT is a reminder of what great horror should do. Take the ordinary and then make it terrifying. It's not just one of the most memorable shake, rattle, and roll episodes because of its monster, but because it holds up a mirror to us. When the last train stops and the lights go out, what's left isn't just fear. It's the truth about who the people around us really are.
Ligpitin mo sila.